Is your glass half empty or is your glass half full? Hi, I'm Dr. Peters with Peters Wellness, Chiropractic and Massage. And in this week's quick video, I would like to discuss how and why optimists have been proven to be healthier than pessimists. Now, to me, I always look at a glass half empty, half full. I always say, I don't know which it is. I just know there's room for more, so I'm going to fill it. But what about those people who really are pessimistic? And, some people might say, oh, this is all foo-foo. It doesn't really mean anything. Well, you've probably heard of Harvard, and you've probably heard of the Mayo Clinic. They think that there is enough value to actually put money into research. And I've got this week's Optimal Health University here in my hand, okay? It'll be available, obviously, on our Facebook page, YouTube. It'll be available on Twitter, and it'll be available on the, what's the other big one out there? Instagram, right? So, and it'll also be available on the blog. But with that being said, Harvard Mental Health Letter had this to say: people with a positive outlook tend to have better morale and a greater adaptive capacity because they are more resilient in the face of stress, more resilient in the face of adversity or loss, and they actually suffer less, even in the worst circumstances. Now you can see the thing from my book in the background. Pain is fantastic, but suffering is not. To suffer. Who wants to suffer? We don't want that. So just by simply having a mind shift of things being in a more optimistic outlook than pessimistic. Now, before I talk about what the Mayo Clinic had to say and what they found in their study, think about if you were going to invest something, time or money or whatever it is, if you're going to invest into a person, or if you're going to invest money into something that will give you a good return, some type of retirement, would you rather have a 5% return, a 10% return, or a 20% return? Now, most people say, well, I want the 20%. But then you got to look at what your risk tolerance is and what you have to put at risk to get that return. So the Mayo Clinic did a study of 830 patients. Now, this is back in 2000, right? This is an old study. 830 patients. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic found that pessimists had a 19% higher death rate than their optimistic counterparts. 19%. Could you imagine just by changing your mindset of having a 19% higher chance of pushing that death off? So, just a couple of things on here as far as changing from more of a pessimistic to an optimistic. Now, some people are so pessimistic and might say, well, it's not worth it. Well, the numbers say that it is worth it. To me, a 19% return is good. And if I'm going to spend time and energy in a relationship with somebody, I think getting 20% back is a very good return. And then the same with the financial investment and looking at that, because people come in, they're financially investing in their health when they come see me. So I want them to get more back than what they gave me. So looking at the first step in cleaning up from being more of a pessimistic mindset to an optimistic mindset. And that is, and if you follow Tony Robbins at all, he of course talks about this, is that internal self-talk, that language with yourself. So cleaning up that vocabulary and what you say internally, but then also what you say to others externally. Part 2, identify the things in your life that you actually have control over. And the article talks about some really great things. I won't go into all the details. But recognizing what is within your control. If you're worrying about, especially if you're around kids at all, they're like, what if a tsunami came? It's like, we're in the middle of the desert, we're probably okay. But sometimes they learn about things in school, they come home, oh my gosh, what if this, what if this? And the reality is, man, you can't spend all your time worrying about things that are beyond your control. Granted, maybe you don't want to live on an island that could be hit if that is a big fear of yours. But when it comes to your health, we know that being more optimistic is better for your health than being pessimistic. And the reason why it's important, I mean, if Harvard feels it's worth studying and the Mayo Clinic feels it's worth studying, they're pretty good authority figures. So I say we go with it. I mean, give it a chance. You can get a 20% return on life. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you next week.